Hey guys, welcome to this week's long overdue version episode of Chewing the Fat. It's a special coaches edition today. I've got not only myself, but also one of Simplr Health's new coach, Emma Nedov, with me. Hey, Em.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm going all right.
Good.
We thought we'd just get on and have a talk about, what's opened up for us around my own health and Em's own health and things like that in light of coaching other people, and also the experience of coaching other people and what we get from that, and different things that show up along the way. So thanks for being with me today, Em.
No worries. I'm excited.
Finding it so far.
Yeah, good. I thoroughly enjoy just being able to help people, to be honest. After probably similar to yourself, after going through it myself, and just, the relief of when you have a structure and a plan to follow, being able to provide that to other people is just, there's no words for it.
Yeah. We were just talking then about one of the guys I coach in the UK, and I've got lots of other people that I need to, have a chat with and see if we can put them up on Facebook as well, maybe without their faces. I don't know. And just when you see something like that on Facebook that they're proud to share as well, and they're just a completely like Glenn was a completely different person today when I saw him on that, and I actually had a coaching call with him this morning. And he's just a new person for himself. It's incredible, and it's you got to. I know I got to I sort of gloss over it a little bit and go, "That's awesome, good for you, Glenn," and you sort of got to take a step back a little bit sometimes and go, "Wow, that's we're making that possible for Glenn." And is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing, that I've found through coaching other people, and even through, doing it myself, is it's more than just a diet. It's more than just weight loss. It's, you truly do become a better version of yourself.
Yeah. So what showed up for you along as far as the coaching side of things go? Because I know for me, things tend to go on trends. So, 1 week, all of a sudden, all the same things start to come up. And it's obviously something to do with either what I'm doing or the context I'm creating the calls in, or whatever that is. But it just seems funny. Like 1 week I'll start a conversation with this, and then for the rest of that day, at least, all the calls, without even me trying to push them that way,
similar
showing up. It's like, that's funny. I just had this conversation a second ago. That's weird.
Yes. I've found the same. It's almost as though, you have your own sort of epiphany of, oh, okay, this has helped one person. So, and then you find that, everyone's quite similar. We've got the same sort of brains. They're all working the same way. So it's like, oh, well, it's worked for this person. So we're on a roll now. And then you just find it becomes like a common theme.
Yeah. Isn't it funny though, how, because, and I mean, I'm no different. I'm sure you're not, but everyone thinks of themselves as different in some way. Like, I'm not the same as everyone else. I've got my own unique stuff. And when you're coaching a broad range of people, you just see, no, you're not. You're just the same.
Yeah.
All the other people with their I'm different to everyone else story. And, I saw a clip this morning when I was looking through some informational scientific clips and things like that. And someone was saying about that very topic and said, 99.7, I think, % of our biology is the same.
Yeah.
So while everyone has that, occurring but I'm different, I've got my own unique circumstances. And I think definitely in the terms of gut microbiome and things like that, yes, for sure. But, in terms of just straight biology, we're just human beings. We all work the same.
Yeah, it is definitely bridging that gap between the individuality of how some people maybe respond differently to certain aspects of whether it's the diet or, everyone's way of life. Essentially, there's that unique sort of part of it that creates that individual person. But then when you come down to it, the diet, for example, the protocol is designed one way, and it's because it affects every human body the same way. So it's like, you got to bridge that gap between individuality and, but we're all the same,
Exactly right. Exactly right. There's that middle ground. I think it just freaks people out of,
Yeah.
look,
Oh, still freaks me out. Blows my mind.
I'm different. You are.
Yeah.
And this holds true for everyone. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's very cool. So yeah, I see a lot of the things I get as well along the way is what I notice shows up for people. Like someone will be dealing with something on one of the calls for that week, and it's a chance to step back and go, is that there for me as well? And then have a
Yeah.
look in the week and go, yeah, well, there's the next thing for me to take on is, transforming that side of whatever's happening for me in terms of, whether it's eating while I'm watching TV, or
Yeah.
upset, or eating when I do this and that and the other, which isn't necessarily a bad thing on its own, depending on what you're eating and how much and all that sort of thing. But it's been
Yeah.
a great experience of being able to transform that side of things for me, and then what's shown up around me as well.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things for me as well is getting over your own, trying to avoid looking bad, I suppose, and just
Yeah.
even just some of the posts I've been posting lately. For me, they're just not me. Not that they're not me now; they are, because this is
Yeah.
what we're up to, and this is what we're doing. And I've done a nutrition course, and I've done a lot of work with Dean, and there's heaps of stuff at the seminar I was at the other day. I'm sitting there thinking, that's not quite right. So it's obviously, I've come a long way in those 2 years from what I've learned, but
Yeah.
there's still the occurring of what people I think expect of me on Facebook, or what they would think I would post, and it's just like, do I really want to post that? Of course,
Yeah.
this is what I'm up to now. And this is what's gonna, when I get myself out of the way, I think it's some great things show up for other people to take on.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing that I try to take into when I'm coaching other people is, I sort of let them know that by them being as open and honest with me, it also helps me learn and me grow, because, I never sort of come at it with the approach of, oh, I know everything and I'm here to advise you. No, like, I'm along with you through the journey, and a lot of what they go through I end up learning, as you said, either to take it into my everyday life or ways that I can then help others. So it's like that ever growing sort of way of coaching, and we learn as much through our clients as they do from us.
Yeah, and that sort of has to be that way for it to work, I think.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So what have you
Same
discovered?
thing in sport.
What have you discovered since finishing because you did the protocol yourself, like I did?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and there's a great episode of Chewing the Fat with Dean and you going through that side of it. So if you haven't seen that, jump on the Chewing the Fat YouTube channel and check
Check
that
it
out.
out. Yeah. I mean, my experience through Simpler Health was quite an interesting one, because, as you sort of said, now, you look back 2 years ago and you're like, oh, I'm a completely different person. For me, I feel like I went through that shift of becoming a completely new person in such a small period of time. Sort of, it took me, it was like that year where I'd sort of finished elite sport, and just all of a sudden within a year my body had changed dramatically. And that led to me then finding Simpler Health, and within 3 months then my body changed yet again. And so even though I'm through the process of doing protocol and all those types of things, the knowledge that you gain through that, just within the space of the 3 months that I did Simpler Health, and knowing Dean and knowing yourself, you come out of that with some knowledge and stuff that you take into the rest of your life. So I'm definitely, the way I think about food and how I'm healthy within my body and things like that, that's definitely changed. But I also now have to adapt to life without being an elite athlete. And that's interesting, I must say.
Yeah.
You don't have those I'm not training, 32 hours a week. I don't have those chiseled abs anymore or anything like that. But that's something Simpler Health really helped me get through.
Yeah, and also something you got to be responsible for, because you're not, you're not it's not as easy to eat pretty much, not whatever you like, but within reason.
Whatever you like, basically.
Weight.
Honestly, you can compensate the 32 hours of training. You just end up, whatever you eat, doesn't matter. Not good for your long-term health, I will say. Exactly. But yeah, no, I feel very grateful to have found Simpler Health and gone through all of that, because it's helped me on the back end of everything, retiring sport and things like that. It makes me make healthier choices towards, my longevity in life and metabolic choices.
Yeah. What's showing up around, because I know in phase 4, Dean will tell you, I went from, smashing the first part of the protocol, doing it all as designed, losing 24 kilos in 12 weeks, and then coming out into phase 2 and 3, smash that, then come out and had an experience of, wow, I can see why this is going to work long term, because now I feel like I've, in 2 days of eating a regular sort of diet, so to speak, I felt like I'd put a lot of the weight back on, even though it's impossible in the 2 days. I just went, wow, now I can see how this works. But, human beings being the way they are, I got to the stage I was at in the first place by wading my way through all that to get to being 24 kilos overweight. So start doing that again and then go back into phase 1, and then start doing that again and go back into phase 1. Start doing it, and he's like, no more phase 1, sort your shit out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And that was a completely different
headspace, hey?
Different headspace and mindset, and also just a different trajectory of how I had to deal with what was happening day to day, and really have a look at, because what it's like, the blinkers are on in phase 1, 2, and 3. You know, to eat this, and you are allowed to eat that. They're the rules. That's what I'm doing. Outside of that, it was a different story.
Almost to have that freedom makes it more difficult to stay on track.
Yeah. So what have you found around that for you?
I guess it's just a matter of figuring out, like I said, what works for me, which is a process. With the clients that I do have that are in phase 4, I do remind them, you have to figure out what works for you. That's where that aspect of individuality kind of comes in, right? And then it's a matter of recognizing that it's your responsibility. It's a conscious effort that you have to make to be healthy. You don't just go through protocol and then all of a sudden you pop out and you're like, oh, I'm this
whatever I like,
fantastic person. I can eat whatever I want because I've gone through it. And it's like, no, you actually go through it to learn how to then apply health to your life. And it becomes a decision, a choice that you consciously make all the time. And it doesn't mean that you don't, get those times when you do get to indulge and enjoy yourself, but it's a matter of being smart about where your priorities lie. There's usually a reason why you come to Simpler Health, so there's going to be a reason why you want to stick with it afterwards.
I find that side of things very amusing at times. People get to the point of coming to Simpler Health and they've tried 10 or 12 different things, and within 2 or 3 weeks they're pulling so hard to not do the protocol.
I know. It's just that, like bashing against it. It's like, no, if you just keep doing shortcuts, it's just going to make it even longer.
Yeah.
Just commit. You've got, you've basically got the magic formula right there. All you got to do is just follow it. And it blows my mind how our brains just operate and straight away just want to go against it. We just want to rebel constantly. What are you doing? Just follow it. Just do it.
Well, rebel and just, go with what it knows. And it's, for a lot of people,
what's comfortable.
A lot of years of developing, knowing that eating has them survive whatever it is they're out to try and survive. So, I get it at the same time, but when you break it down and pull it apart, it's funny to go, came to us, you you're spending this money on doing it, and now you want to fight for staying the old way. It's pretty funny. But
Yeah.
what you said something a second ago was really great, in that it is a conscious choice to be responsible for those indulgence days and be, healthy. And I heard a great thing at that seminar I was at the other day with Dr. James Mukey about looking at food instead of being a reward or because it's been sold in the last 5-10 years with all the cooking shows and cupcake wars and this, like, every time you eat, it's supposed to be the most pleasurable experience you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
And it has to be some sort of taste sensation, and then everything's just packed out with flavor and all that sort of thing. And one of the people speaking there said, we should be looking at food, not that you can't enjoy it and it's not there to enjoy, but what is this food doing to me and what's it doing for me?
Yeah.
In other words, how's it fueling my body? It's not just there to, set off those reward centers in your brain and have this orgasmic experience every time you eat it and go, oh my God, that was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
But what you find in those first 3 phases is that I found when Dean goes, that's enough, dude. Cut the beer out. From every time I see you posting on Instagram, there's some picture of you holding beer, and you got to sort your shit out so you can sustain this, not just 3 weeks of putting on weight and 1 week of trying to pull it off in phase 1 again and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And when he said that, it was just like it was like, okay. And I knew I was reliable to do that because I'd been so disciplined and done it through phases 1, 2, and 3. So it was like a no-brainer. It was like, well, of course I can do that. All right, I've just got to do that. That's no problem. And that's what I did. And 2 years on, I'm actually 1.5 kilos or 2 kilos lighter than when I finished phase 3 initially 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think when it becomes a part of your life and it's something you get to do, right? Like I say to some of my clients sometimes, I say, try to look at it as you get to be healthy. You don't have to, you get to be. And out of that, you get so much more, and then eventually, like you said, once it becomes just a part of who you are, you don't have to focus on it anymore. You don't need to focus on, how much you're eating so much. It just becomes a part of how you operate on a day-to-day basis. And you do find that you either maintain or, lose weight because it just becomes a part of your everyday life, a part of, I get to be healthy.
I actually saw that about a year ago. And you see it in coaching clients, just how powerful language actually is for people.
Yeah.
Because, if they fall off the wagon for a couple of days, or, they're at an event and they give into eating cake or whatever it is they're eating and all that sort of stuff, a lot of the language is, I'm not allowed to have that, or I can't have it, and they don't like denied the permission. So whereas you said, if you come at it with, I get to stick to the goal, there's a whole world that opens up inside of that.
Yeah.
You can't see in the context of I'm not allowed.
Yeah.
Or I can't, or I'm supposed to, or I want to, or I should, or all those things are just like a blinkered view. And when I saw that of all things, on a Kung Fu Facebook page. And it was I was just scrolling through, and it came through with, instead of, I should, I want to, I must, I have to, blah, blah.
Oh yeah, I get to.
And I went,
the martial arts.
Interesting. That's, because I've done some other things about how language creates our world and things like that. And I've heard similar, I haven't heard that particular one. So that training, and I'm just a whinger at the best of times. I make things that aren't too hard really difficult, because, I learned at an age that's a great way to get attention and love from your mum, is to make out like everything's a struggle, and then you get more pats on the head. And I was out the back training, and, I was getting flogged by this training routine I was doing. And then I flipped the next exercise, and it was a run around the block. And I was just like, oh my like, I can hardly breathe now. Now I've got to go for a run. You are kidding me. And
Yeah.
then I went, okay, let's run this. I get to and see what, and I start running out the back gate and start running around the block. And I just thought, all right, I get to run around the block. And straight away, what hit my mind was, I was in a hospital bed in 2007, I think it was, 2 broken up, lacerated spleen, a cracked skull, being told by the surgeon that put my arms back together that I'd never play guitar again.
God.
And I remember looking out the window and just thinking, if I can just get out of here and get back to some sort of normality with my hands and, be able to do stuff again, and like, I'm playing guitar again. I'll tell you, I'll be great. And this has hit me while I'm running around the block, just after getting that I get to run. Of course I get to run around the block, because this mightn't have been possible in 2007. I might have a wheelchair. I might have lost or not been able to run because of damage to whatever limbs and, all that sort of stuff. So of course I get to run around the block. And then the experience of all that just altered.
Yeah.
Stay that way. I've still got to represence that every now and again. But it is fascinating to see just how much language creates people's lives, especially in terms of the sticking to the protocol and how they view sticking to the protocol.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely that aspect of like recognizing the gratitude to what you have the ability to do. But then also, like when I was training, I was a chronic complainer. Like me as a child and a teenager, just ask anyone, I was the queen of complaining. And
Being queen.
You know what?
The queen.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason being was, and my teammates, we were all shocking at it. And when you're a teenager and you're a young kid and people say, oh, stop complaining, blah, 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 it just makes you want to complain more. And, so I'd be in the gym and I'd be like, oh, we have to do strength again, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you have to do it regardless. Wouldn't you try to make it as easy as possible for yourself? By complaining, it was just switching on that part of my brain that made it even more difficult.
Yeah.
Cut a long story short, ended up, like as I got older and wiser, as you would say, throughout being an athlete, I was working with my performance psychologist, and he worked with me to reshape my language and how I would talk and things. Yeah, right. Took me about a year to realize, because this all happened just without me even noticing. But making tiny changes to my language improved just the way that I saw every aspect of my training. There was a part of my training that I absolutely hated. The thought of it now, makes me sick. It was horrifying. I even to the point where I would go to bed, so we would do it specifically like at camp when we would go to the Australian Institute of Sport. Morning and afternoon, we would have to do this warm up. And I kid you not, Trevor, this warm up was shocking. Like, you just would start knowing that by the end of it, you were puffed, sweaty, your legs were aching, your arms were aching. And then not only that, but after you've done that, you've got a whole 3-hour training session to go, right? So it was like oh my God, shocking. And I remember saying to my sports psych, I said, how do I get through this? And he's like, unfortunately, that's something that you have to do, right? It's a non-negotiable. You need to make the decision. Is that so difficult that it's what's going to make you give up everything else that you do in the sport? And I said, okay, no brainer. No, right? It's just something I've got to do. So why don't you try to make it as easy as possible for yourself? Shape the way that you speak about it, to yourself, to others, and like I said, a year later, I had no idea, but it would creep into every other aspect of my life. And now I find myself being the most positive, optimistic, opportunistic person ever. And I'm just like, where did this come from? Because me 10 years ago, shocking. Absolutely no way. No way I would be sitting here talking to you. Like, it was crazy. So it just has that ability to just switch on another part of your brain, and it just float. It has like a flow-on effect to the rest of your life. So I find that for a lot of people, doing protocol, challenging themselves in this way is similar to sort of how I felt doing that warm-up. And, if they can recognize that, just shape your mindset a little bit differently, talk to yourself a little bit differently about it, be grateful for the experience that you're doing and the long-term effects it will have. And doing protocol and losing weight is only one good thing that comes out of this. It will have a flow-on effect to the rest of your life.
Yeah, so good. That's very cool. And it is a real opportunity to do.
Yeah.
I remember when Dean, took me under his wing, so to speak, and said, I want you to do the protocol for a while and come help me coach people and things. And he said, look, by the time you finish the first phase of the protocol and what I teach you along the way, you'll know more than most nutritionists and dietitians and stuff. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It blows my mind. And, that's something for me I've got to continually deal with myself with because, I didn't do too much at high school. And
Were you dumb?
I wasn't actually. But in year 11 and 12, music came into my life and I just went with that.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else was just like, can't be bothered. All I'm interested in is playing music. So
Follow your passion.
off the wayside. So, but then that carries on of, I don't like learning. I'm not that smart. One of my mates that I went to school with, we were always teasing each other and joking about the times we used to walk out of our HSC exams 5 minutes in after writing our name on the paper and going, all right, pub, yep, sweet, let's go.
We had very different upbringings.
Yeah. And, everything worked out in the end here, as it does. But, that's been something that I've taken on the last year or so in that's all just made up. And, as you say, as we're talking about now, but just the language you use, start sharing with people that new reality, so to speak. Yeah. And I think that's what works great with clients as well, is when it's not just about them, it's getting out and sharing it with other people, because it creates a world for them to live into.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is really,
and it's easier when you've got support, that's one thing. Helping other people and having others help you is what kind of makes us human.
It's funny.
And it makes us feel good.
And you feel like you belong to something as well. And that's what I had this conversation with Dean the other day. It was very interesting, where I think one of the things people bump up against in the coaching side, or not in the coaching side, in the protocol side of things, is when they're out with friends, family, or whatever, there's this occurring that there's an expectation for them to be a certain way. And there can be, I'm missing out, I'm being left out, or I don't belong here, or all those sort of things. But, I've got a mate that takes the piss out of me regularly. Like, we're pretty brutal with each other in our conversation. All in love and jest, but still brutal. Always. Less. And, when I came out into phase 4, and still every now and again, but initially we'd be at a gig playing somewhere and I'd get, so anyway, go get the beers. Let's go. I'll set up and you go get the beers. And it's like, no, I'm not drinking beer now.
Yeah.
What, anymore? No, just not today. I had one a couple of days ago and I'm just trying to cut down on beer a fair bit. Just my personal, it's not like a Simplr health rule, but it was just my decision, because it was starting to become more frequent. And, long story short, I'd cop, oh man, what happened to the Trevor of 2 years ago? Where's my fun, Trev? Where's he gone? This is no fun. The only reason I do gigs with you is because we sit down and have a couple of beers and whatever. It's still fun. It's still good. Yeah, no, I don't know if I can do these gigs. And while I know he's joking on one hand, the instant reaction initially was, all right, I'll go get the beers. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't want to let him down or feel like I'd changed. Like, there was a big thing about him. It was like, no, I'm still the same guy. Yeah. And after a while, I thought, Of course I'm not the same person. That's why I did the freaking thing in the first place. I don't want to be why would I want to be the same person as I started I'm still me, and we can still have fun and nothing's changed that side of things. But why do I want to hold on to all the aspects that I put in so much effort to shift?
Yeah.
Just so I don't look different in someone else's eyes that's going to walk away and carry on with their life and not think about me until next time they see me.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting that like resistance to change. I see it quite a lot. Yeah.
Like you've changed. It's just, they'll change, but not in front of these people. Because I don't want to feel like and there'll be a whole heap of different things there about, I don't want to be the odd one out. I don't want to be the downer person that's not allowed to do. I don't want to put someone out that's gone into a whole heap of effort to make this for me and, blah, blah, blah. Whatever that is, it's all, and it's valid. It was there for me as well. Of not wanting to make down or look like I've changed or it's different. Of course, I've done a lot of freaking work over the last 5 to 8 years on myself.
Yeah.
Why? Unless it's a different person here now than there was before.
Well, and I think that's what it is. And that's what that's what I recognized in myself, to be able to, not be resistant to, I sort of like growth. I try to look at it as like, always wanting to be your best version of yourself and like be a better person. Like, how can you be better? And it's sort of, when you do come across those people from your past, I struggle with that a little bit now, I've been Emma the gymnast for 21 years, and now I'm not anymore. And, that's just how it is. I'm a new person. I've gone through now my journey with Simplr Health, all of these things. I'm a different person a little bit. And I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly learning more. And, sometimes I'll come up against that sort of like, oh, I'm a bit nervous about how people might view me now, or maybe their opinions of me. But then I think it's a matter of, if you're just really proud of yourself and like really recognize that actually I've gone through a hell of a lot. I'm really proud of the person that I've become. So therefore, my, feeling of, how happy I am with the person I am now, it doesn't matter what someone thinks of me, because as soon as they recognize that in you, they want that for themselves as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they might initially have that push of like, oh, I wish you were like what you were before. But if you just admit that you are super proud of the person that you are, they can't help but admire that.
Well, in the brutal sort of way that we talk to each other, I said the last time that happened, because there was another guy there that we both know as well. And he goes, see, Trev's not the same anymore. He's gone. Say bye, Trev. I was like, yeah, that's why I look like this a year on, 2 years. And you look like that.
Exactly.
I just sort of laughed and called each other several various bad names and carried on. But we love each other to death, and it's all in jest. But there is that pull naturally to want to fit in, want to belong, and that's what's great about sharing what you're doing with other people on the protocol, is because it creates that in your environment that you are belonging and fitting in and doing all those things, because all these other people get inspired by you and take it on themselves. Yeah. Whether it's this or whatever else they want to do, it doesn't matter, as long as they're getting something done with their health. Yeah. We're going to have to wrap it up, Em, because
cool.
A minute to go. Thanks for the chat. And
no worries, anytime.
Another great Zoom chat with Dean coming up tonight. So
yes,
I'll see you on that. Thanks, guys.
Sounds good. Bye.
Catch up with us next time for another episode of Chewing the Fat. See ya.